Welcome to the Operation Smooth podcast. Last Saturday was the obviously 2025 Heisman Trophy ceremony in which Fernando Mendoza, the junior quarterback out of Indiana, became the first ever Indiana player to win the Heisman Trophy. Congratulations to him. If I'm being honest with you, he was the clear winner, and there was really nobody that was going to overtake Fernando Mendoza with the season that he had at Indiana University, leading them to a perfect 13-0 record. I believe Fernando Mendoza this season, I want to say he had 33 touchdowns and six interceptions, had a 181.4 passer rating, that unbelievable win, unbelievable comeback win against Penn State, and to top it all off, winning the Big 12, I think Big 12, Big 10 title game against Ohio State. That basically sealed the deal for Fernando Mendoza. Big 10 Offensive Player of the Year, Big 10 Quarterback of the Year, first team All Big 10, the Maxwell Award, the Davey O'Brien Award. Fernando Mendoza basically swept everything. You had Diego Pavia, the quarterback of Vanderbilt. I will get to him in a second. You had Ohio State quarterback Julian Sayin, the freshman quarterback, and the last person was Notre Dame running back Jeremiah Love. I hadn't seen the Heisman Trophy ceremony in who knows how many years, but I did decide to watch it this year, and that was kind of a strange ceremony. I don't know if they've done this in the last couple of years, but they would have, let's say, Fernando Mendoza and a couple of people from either his family or his entourage. And so they had the same thing for the other candidates. Diego Pavia with his Tony Montana looking suit on, old Timu, Tony Montana had his entourage, and so did the other gentlemen, Sayin and Jeremiah Love. If I'm keeping it real, Julian Sayin, and Jeremiah Love, they knew that they had no chance. They were not winning the Heisman Trophy, and they knew that. Uh, they were just there to participate. They went to New York to get a stay at a five-star hotel with five-star continental breakfast, and this is the NCAA we're talking about. So I'm sure they got some NIL money or some little side money, and they probably had a good time with some five-star strippers. Let's keep it real. Okay, we are talking about the NCAA here. So all that leads me to Diego Pavia. Watching that ceremony, I knew that Fernando Mendoza was going to win no matter what. With all the awards that he already won, he was the clear winner. But hey, listen, Diego Pavia had a great season for Vanderbilt. They finished 10-2. If they had recovered the onside kick against Texas, who knows? They might have been able to march down the field and beat Texas, probably finish 11-1, and probably would have been in the college football playoff. But unfortunately, that was not the case. So Vanderbilt finishes 10-2. Though I believe that is the first 10-win season in the history of Vanderbilt football, which is saying a lot because Vanderbilt football, if you look at the history of their football program, they've been awful for many years. So give props to Diego Pavia for leading Vanderbilt to what might be a new era post Diego Pavia, and you might see more 10-win seasons for Vanderbilt, and maybe years down the road, maybe perhaps next season, if everything goes right, Vanderbilt might be in the college football playoff. But this was clearly the year of Fernando Mendoza. Thank you, Blue Crab. The year of Fernando Mendoza. He was the overwhelming favorite, which leads me to what happened after the ceremony. Diego Pavia went to, I guess they had a post Heisman party or whatever it was, and then he had the whole thing with F the voters, and then he put out the tweet, F the voters, but family for life. And so he got in a whole heap of trouble for that and had to issue an apology. Whether that apology was sincere or not, who knows? I will say this: I I understand and I can respect the fact that he was upset about not winning the Heisman. When you go to a ceremony like that, let's keep it real. You want to win, and I'm sure deep down inside, Jeremiah Love and Julian Sayin wanted to win the Heisman. Having said that, I think they were realistic. Like I said earlier, they knew they knew that they weren't going to win. They were just there for the hype of it all. You know, maybe the universities forced them to go. Who knows? But they weren't winning, and they knew that. Uh, Coach Ryan Day of Ohio State and Coach Freeman of Notre Dame, they knew that their guys weren't winning, but they went obviously because they're supporting their player. And regardless, even if one of your players gets nominated for the Heisman Trophy and attends the ceremony, that is still good publicity for your school, no matter how big your school is. So even though Notre Dame and Ohio State, they are college football blue bloods, it doesn't hurt that one of your players gets at least a nod and appears at the Heisman Trophy ceremony. For Vanderbilt and Indiana, this is really good publicity. Fernando Mendoza, the first Indiana player to win the Heisman Trophy. To the best of my knowledge, Diego Pavia is the first Vanderbilt player to ever get a Heisman Trophy nomination or be a Heisman Trophy finalist. So that's good publicity for those both of those schools going forward. But that whole then Diego Pavia had that tweet, "F the voters, but family for life." And you see on that picture there, I don't know if those gentlemen that are with him are they blood relatives, or those are his friends, or those are homeboys of his that grew up with him and have been with Diego Pavia every step of the way. But I will say this: that while he was out of order to make that tweet and be at that party, it's gonna affect his draft stock. He is 5'9", which kind of works against him. Look at Kyler Murray, 5'9", with the Arizona Cardinals. Things haven't gone great for him. Maybe Diego Pavia gets in a better situation. Who knows? I'm not going to completely rule out that Diego Pavia will be a success in the NFL once he gets drafted. Did this hurt his draft stock? Yes. Did this cost him a couple of $1 million? Sure, absolutely. But here's the kicker: when in that picture, and I'm going to say this as an OG that's over 50 years old, he has that picture with those homeboys. F the voters, but family for life. Diego Pavia, at 23 years old, he's about to find out that in the next 2 to 3 years, one of those homeboys is going to stab him in the back. And I'm not talking about stabbing him in the back literally. I'm talking one of those homeboys, or maybe another homeboy that's in that entourage but wasn't in the picture. They're going to do him wrong. Somebody in that group is going to do him wrong. Because I'm sorry to say this, that's we talk about family first, but family's the first to screw you. He's either somebody from that entourage is going to take his money, take his girl, or both. Or they're going to smear his name. They're going to have a smear campaign going. And Diego Pavia, he's gonna learn a hard lesson. He's gonna learn a hard lesson in life, and that is, hey, sometimes just like you gotta say F the voter, sometimes you gotta say F family, and you gotta put yourself first. And unfortunately, that's a life lesson that a lot of OGs, have found out. But nevertheless, I don't. This whole situation, it's not the end for Diego Pavia. A lot of people are comparing him to Johnny Manziel and the things that Johnny Manziel did. Hopefully, Johnny Manziel can sit him down and, hey, don't do the things that I did. You already being stereotyped as the next me. Don't do this and this and this. And hopefully, um, Diego Pavia will listen. Also, listen, if I'm a Heisman Trophy finalist, like the three guys that didn't win. Hey, what are the chances after the Heisman Trophy ceremony that I'm ever going to meet Tim Tebow or Charles Woodson or Desmond Howard or Barry Sanders? What are the chances of me ever meeting those guys again? Now, obviously, Fernando Mendoza, having won the Heisman Trophy, once he retires from the pros, he's going to go and present the Heisman Trophy to the next winner. So Fernando Mendoza will be at the ceremony for life. But for somebody that doesn't win the Heisman Trophy, look, it's an opportunity to pick the brain of the guys that did win the Heisman Trophy and get some of that knowledge and use some of that knowledge, hopefully at the pro level. And not even that, take some of that knowledge from those Heisman Trophy guys, even if you don't win the trophy, and use it in life. Because I'm sure those gentlemen, they won the Heisman Trophy, but I'm sure post college football and post pro football, they made their mistakes and they've had rough times and rough situations that they've had to overcome post football. And I think Diego Pavia should, if he didn't, he should have taken the opportunity to sit down with the Barry Sanders and the Tim Tebows and the Eric Crouches and the Billy Sims and the George Rogers and all those other past Heisman Trophy winners and sit down and learn from them and see what nuggets of advice you can take, hopefully going into the NFL and hopefully having a productive career. So, I think Diego Pavia was out of order for the tweet and the whole issue, and I think, like I said, somebody in that group is gonna do him wrong eventually because unfortunately that is a part of life that happens. So those are my thoughts about the Heisman Trophy controversy. This is the Operation Smooth podcast, and I am out.